This is a public service announcement from someone with a stereotypical German doctor's accent, which means you will listen to me. It has come to my attention that as a doctor of the humanities, which means I know everything about the humans, that there are many of you out there that pretend to be offended when you are not. You are just bored. Examples! Someone not of Chinese descent wearing a Chinese dress. Za? Voicing a poo for 30 years and apologizing because you decided you are a bad person. Hey, Kazaria! Anyone doing an accent that is over the top and ridiculous. Stereotypes you do not actually care about. And recently, Mei of Overwatch having coined their own hairstyle. The fact that you even noticed that says that you perhaps are the racist. Perhaps. So, I have a solution. Stupid. No one cares. 99% of people do not care. You do not care. You're only seeking the attention. Even negative attention is still attention, and you crave it like Disney craves money and Elon Musk craves Mars. Knock it off. Find better things to do with your time than be offended. And there are other things you can be offended by. Good things. World hunger. People are starving. Poaching. They're killing the pretty animals with the horn and the stuff. And people talking in the movie theater. Those people are the worst. There's plenty of other things. Just pick something else. Just find something that's real. This is my solution, and it is final. Thank you.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games,
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
movies,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows,
This is the way.
This is the way.
and so much more.
JJ, what do you want to do tonight?
Off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, people of the interwebs. This is Crash While Loading, the only podcast powered by adult ADHD and willing to talk about it. Sorry, I was looking at my screen. What were we talking about? Oh, the show, yeah. So, Crash While Loading, episode 31. I am your host. It says right here, introduce yourself, dummy. Ashen Phoenix, that's me. I'm the dummy. That had to actually literally write that into my show notes so that I would remember to introduce who I am. Because I am just that riddled with ADHD and or just that incredibly stupid. It's really sometimes they're interchangeable. If you're listening on the podcast, that's awesome. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. If you're on iTunes, give it a review, a 5-star review. iTunes is the important one, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the tunes that I am a part of. I'm going to go with that. It cycles through all the other ones. So if you want to give a 5-star rating, that's awesome. Do that. In fact, I insist that you do that. If you don't, I have a special set of skills. Skills I have gathered over many years in many video games. Mostly I'll just jump on your turtle and squash it. But still, it is a skill. So I appreciate that. Also, if you want to watch it live, twitch.tv/crashedwhiloloading. You can watch it live there on the Twitch. Also, technically, it is on YouTube streaming at the exact same time, but that one is not as easy. It's like youtube.com/LMNOPQRS5789 42-67849B Z Ultra Mega Man. I don't know. It's just a bunch of gibbering shit. You have to be popular, right, to get a like slash of something after your name on YouTube, and I'm not that. I'm like high school popular. Not like the good kids, like how I was popular in high school. I'm there, I participate, and I get a trophy for it, and it's fantastic. But I'm not there. I don't know people. I don't get invited to parties. I don't talk to girls or things like that. That kind of popular. You know the kind. If you're listening to this, you're probably just like me, and God help you. I mean, at least you're good looking, just like I am, obviously. I mean, look at this. Look at that on the camera right there. No matter which way I turn, there's not a good angle. It's really just all bad. Really just all... Anyway, so I'm distracted. There was very little news this week. So I've got a good show for you, regardless of the fact that there's literally not much to talk about. Possible fighting games, Disney screwing people over that write books, which is fun. Microsoft, that one came out at the last minute. Mei of Overwatch is now a horrible racist, which is weird because she's still a minority, and yet she is now a racist minority. Go figure. And also, I have a rant of I call them Chads, but the type, the people that are like still living in 1995 and think video games are for kids and only kids if you're an adult. And starting a new segment on the show, what came out this month in video games, just because I did that on some article I saw, and I thought that was fascinating, so I'm going to do it just the first episode of every month. It's not going to be every episode. I'll go through and find at least some interesting games that came out in that month over the years. I'm not going to go through all of them because if it's going to be a continual segment, and I do this for more than a year, which is possible, I suppose, if I want to, torture myself like that and keep, talking to probably just Ericus for the most part, Scribble sometimes, and like one guy in the Polynesia. My geography is top notch. All the Polynesians listen to this show. It is a well-known fact. And of course, still #1 rated show in Antarctica. It is a actual fact that I make up every time. So, what have I been doing? I got to play the Resident Evil 8 demo. I know I said I wasn't going to play it, and I was right. I actually did not play the one where you're actually playing part of the game. I played the one that came out on PlayStation 4 and 5 like a month ago. It's just called the Castle demo. Basically, though I was told there was no combat, there was combat. It was fairly smooth, actually. But no, that game is... I got it on... glad I got that Xbox because that game looks fucking hardcore awesome. The amount of detail in the castle area I was in and some of the dungeons underneath that is absolutely fantastic. I don't know what it looks like on the older console, on the Xbox One, but on the Series X, it is breathtaking is the word. I mean, it's just the lighting, the detail in the hardwoods and the stonework and the people itself. It's runs so smoothly as well. A lot smoother than even I remember Resident Evil 7 running, and that came out quite some time ago. But it comes out next week, and I'm totally digging on looking forward to playing that. It's fantastic. And then hopefully I can beat it rather quickly, because I have a caveat on Resident Evil 8 Village, and that is that I'm not allowed to play it if Sib's not around. I actually think it may be grounds for divorce if I play the game and she's not there to watch, because she does play these things herself, but Resident Evil is one of those games where we play together. Like, I play, but she's also helping along. Like, she'll see things that I don't. And the jump scares, she loves horror, so it's a horror game. It's basically like watching a first-person horror movie, especially from what I played. The fucking sisters in this, the vampire chicks, they really get up and into your face, and I was already excited for it, but that little taste of the demo, which was limited to an hour, I did it in 18 minutes, so I have an excuse to play it again when Sib gets back later today. Well, she won't play it today. She'll probably be exhausted from driving for, I think, 800 hours from just outside of Atlanta to here in Oklahoma. I think that's how long it takes. I'm not real good with geography, as you could tell by me knowing about the Polynesian. Although I will say they make excellent sauce, and I'm so glad they supply it to Chick-fil-A. The Polynesian have a fantastic sauce. Some people would just call it sweet and sour, but Chick-fil-A calls it the Polynesian. You can look it up, Google it. It's all right. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Another thing, and this is a spoiler-free review, so don't worry about spoilers. I was alone all week, and surprisingly, I did actually eventually start to get lonely. I can only play Final Fantasy XIV and Outriders and watch TV so much before I'm like, you know what I miss? Mild human interaction. I mean, I had people at work, but they're barely people. I mean, they're postal workers. It's, what do you who hangs out with people they work with that often outside of work? It doesn't happen often. At least I don't. There's a few I probably could because we have similar taste in games and things like that. But at the same time, I'd have to plan stuff and then not be at home maybe, or have them over here, which is just as awful. It's a hassle. People are a hassle. I don't know if you know this, but I watched that new show, Shadow and Bone. It's based off. It's a young adult series, so it's what it's based off of. It's definitely very modern. It looks really good. It's basically steampunk Avatar: The Last Airbender. They have a thing called Grisha. They have bending skills. They have to move their hands in order to bend. A lot of this sound familiar. I'm just assuming that, I don't know how long it's been out, but I'm going to guess it probably was not out around the time Avatar: The Last Airbender came out, because it definitely seemed like that. There's a big rip in the middle of this country that some guy did in the past that's a giant black wall, and there's big, ugly man-bats inside there that eat people if they cross through it, or if they're not real careful. And it's divided the country, and there's all sorts of stuff. There's some drama. There's a really cool gunslinger guy that is really stylish, and I liked him. There's some guy that looks like the kid that plays It, one of the Skarsgårds, but he actually is not him or a Skarsgård, but he could pass for one. There's also like I said, the characters are good. They really pushed the racism thing a little too hard. I think that had more to do with the time limit. Like the Grisha are not well liked, and then there's a Shu, which I guess are Asian, and the main character chick she's half Shu, and that's apparently a real big thing. But honestly, if I had to describe her, I would not like Asian or whatever it is that the people are seeing in her. I have no idea what it is. I don't see it myself. I'm not saying and I'm colorblind. No, I notice colors, but I don't care about them. But you also can typically notice Asian eyes, and if even half Asian, you can a lot of times you can tell. If this chick was that, I have no idea. I couldn't tell whatever defining features that she was supposed to have that made her half Shu and people spit at her. I couldn't see it. I mean, I understood it because they push it like every episode, at least once, it seemed like. But I don't know. It was just basically, it wasn't, I guess it's not racism, but it's countryism was heavy in it outside of the airbenders or the benders. But, the black character and the white people, there was one chick, she was pretty fucking badass. I think she's Indian. That all didn't matter. But the Shu chick, for some reason, that one did matter. And I don't know why. I will say it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of bitching about it. But the special effects, the story and all that, it moved at a pretty, it's an adaptation of a novel. but they did give it 8 episodes. It was interesting enough that I went and bought the first book off of Audible to give it a listen, and we'll see. Maybe the book is even better than the show. I enjoyed the show when I come out with a second season, which, as hard as they're pushing this, I don't know how it couldn't get one. But then again, they've also Netflix has canceled some pretty good shows in the past, so who knows? But then again, they've also saved some ones, like, what's the one that everyone's fucking going crazy about right now with the belt and all that? I cannot remember the name of it. The Expanse, which I need to still get into. So, but no, Shadow and Bone, if you got Netflix, give it a shot. I mean, you'll know in an episode or two if you're even going to bother with it. I found it interesting. It's got a lot of interesting world building and lore, so yeah, give it a shot. And other than that, Final Fantasy 14, I still play. I mean, I've decided I wanted to play the ninja, which is great because I had already hit level 50, so now I've just been doing dungeons ad nauseum to get that up to 50 so that I can continue the main story quest. And I'm at 45, 46, so I'm almost there. But about sick and tired of dungeons at this point. Really waiting to get back to the main story. Elder Scrolls did that. Oh, I guess I should probably post it in here. I posted it in a lot of other places. I did a story, and then I did like an audiobook version of that story. I voice acted it out, playing both Tarvala and Draxilis of House Bala. Yes, and quite properly. And very soft-spoken was Draxilis. Of course, I've based him off of Grand Admiral Thrawn, so I was basically just copying the Grand Admiral Thrawn voice, but that's how I've always heard him in my head as well, so yeah, go with it. In the news, we'll go with rumors first, and I get excited for this one, if it's true. There's a rumor that NetherRealm Studios, you might know them as the people that did that little adorable Mortal Kombat game like way back in the 90s. I don't know if they've been doing anything since then, but if you remember like Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, where they took pictures of people and they made rip spines out. It's that company. Is rumored to be from a Daniel Richman, who I guess works there, that they might be developing a Marvel superheroes fighting game. They've already done Injustice, Gods Among Us 1 and 2, which were both really, really good games. Yes, it doesn't have the Mortal Kombat rip the Joker's spine out through his spleen kind of a thing. But they're still damn good fighting games. The NetherRealm makes great fighting games. They had kind of a rough period when they converted to 3D, but now that they're back to 3D on a 2D plane, you're bueno. That whole 3D fighting thing, I never enjoyed it. Virtua Fighter, Soul Calibur, the 3D space for those fighting games never felt very good to me, so I did not like playing them. No matter how many times I tried, I could not get into it. Even the Mortal Kombats that went 3D like that, not good. They are very bad. So I hope this is true. Honestly, I would love to get like a Marvel cut of Injustice, especially the story in the two Injustice games too, with Superman going bad because the Joker killed Lois Lane, and it's just so good. I mean, just the Mortal Kombat ones themselves are damn near a movie in itself. It's an 8-hour long movie, which is why the movie was okay, but a little superfluous because the actual games did a better job because they had more time. It's a lot easier to do. Except for fucking Kano. He's awesome. At least in the movie. In the games, he sucks, but in the movies, he was fantastic. So I hope now that my wish for this is that now that Marvel they've got the X-Men back and all this, you'll notice in a lot of Marvel games recently, the X-Men have been missing. Toys of the X-Men have been missing. I've not been able to get like a good Jean Grey Dark Phoenix character outside of like a $200, $300 statue, which I typically these days I'm not willing to pay for unless it looks fantastic, because most of them look very samey at this point, and I've got several already, an embarrassing amount. But now that they own that, I really, what was it? Yeah, that Marvel was not doing X-Men stuff because Fox had the rights, and they did not want to promote X-Men stuff even though it was kind of hurting the brand of Marvel as a whole, they didn't want to give toys and stuff like that that could be tied to the Fox version of X-Men and the mutants and things like that. They weren't in a lot of the recent video games and things like that. Like even... Shoot, I don't remember any of them. I don't remember any X-Men in that most recent Marvel vs. Capcom. Usually they had Phoenix or things like that. Cyclops has always been a staple. Wolverine, obviously. But they didn't have any X-Men in that, and that was exactly because of that. So now that that's all taken care of, I would love to see some X-Men. You know, obviously Captain America will be in there, Iron Man, the real popular Thor, Hulk probably. But you've got to put some X-Men in there now, especially for me, obviously. Phoenix would be a really good choice. I would totally play the shit out of that if she's in it. And don't get me wrong, I'll play the shit out of it anyway, regardless, but that's what I want. That's the thing that I want to have. And, yeah, I mean, I just want a good friggin' fighting game from NetherRealm Studios that involves my X-Men. Yeah, they are my X-Men. They've kind of gone off the deep end recently, but yeah, they're mine.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Mine. In other news, kind of surprising, but also not really. Disney is screwing over writers, or was, at least. Well, they're screwing over others still, but one of them at least got them fixed. There was, let's see, Chuck Wendig, who did Aftermath recently, and I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't get through them. I got through tried to get through the first book. His writing style is so fucking garbage. I could not stand it. They were the first novels that were supposed to happen after the extended universe went Legends, and these were supposed to happen, you know, kind of explain that in-between time period between episode 6 and 7. But his writing style was like space. Luke flies. Dead of night. Stars twinkle. I mean, it was like one constant, like 4 or 5 word sentence after the fucking other. It was a style that I could not get behind. Other people perhaps like it. The reviews were okay, but most people I saw that actually, you know, really got into them or were Star Wars fans were just not a fan of the stories and all of that itself, which is a shame because I would love to read those books, but they're just not good. Then there's also Alan Dean Foster, who he's old school Star Wars writer. He did the novelization of A New Hope back in the 70s and was responsible for writing Splinter of the Mind's Eye in 78, which was basically a sequel to A New Hope in between that and Empire. And is actually a very good book and good story of, you know, Luke and Leia and they go against Darth Vader again. But apparently what happened here is that when Disney when Disney took over Star Wars and recently Fox, they just fucking stopped paying royalties. Like they're still printing and selling these EU books. You know, they're under the Legends. If you see these books with the Ledger's banner under it, those are brand new books printed since Disney took ownership. And apparently they weren't paying the people that wrote them. And just because a company is bought out doesn't mean you stop paying the writer. There is contract deals. I mean, unless your agent got you a fucking garbage contract that says like, yeah, unless of course the company's bought out, then you don't owe a shit, but you can keep using the material, which is fucking not going to happen. That's just stupid. Because if that was the way things actually worked, these companies would basically buy these properties and have them written under one, and then they would just sell it off to another company of their own that they probably would own a subsidiary of. And then they would just, you know, fuck over authors left and right. That's exactly how that would work. We all know that that's how it would work. And if you don't think that's how it would work, you are a much more positive person than I am. What are you doing here? You deserve better podcasts. May I suggest Lore? Or Joe Rogan, maybe. I don't know. People are apparently offended by Joe Rogan because you don't want to have other people's thoughts going around in your head. So, with this guy, he had to actually, had to fight to go back, and they had to renegotiate. So with Alan Dean Foster, he's renegotiated, which is great. I'm glad for him. He's going to get his royalties back. However, there are others that are not, because they also own the licenses. Obviously, Star Wars. They own Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Indiana Jones, Spider-Man, Alien, and Predator. All of those that have, comics and things like that, apparently the people that wrote them are not getting their money. So, and it says here, when one Buffy author contacted Boom, which is the studio for the Dark Horse to Boom, about missing royalties, they were told royalties don't transfer. Don't think that's accurate. They can say what they want, but when the court gets involved, that's going to change very quickly, and they're probably going to end up doing it. So people like Neil, I'm probably not going to say his name right. Neil Gaiman. He, him from Sandlot, American Gods. But he's just everything. If you don't know who he is at this point, and you're a nerd, you got to turn in your nerd card. I'm sorry, it's just the way it goes. I don't make these rules, but I don't always like all the work he's done. But the dude's been around forever. He knows what his stuff. So he's getting behind it. It's like a hashtag Disney must pay. There's a joint task force in the SFWA, which I know stands for a thing that I had here, and now it's gone. We're gonna call it. Let's see, the Screen Fucking Winners Writers Award Association. Screen Fucking Writers Association. That's what it stands for, SFWA. They're getting involved, and they're basically taking these people to court and are out trying to get them to renegotiate and pay up what they're due, because royalties, this is how these people make their money. They wrote these books. They were under contract. They should get paid. That's just the way it is. You do the work, you have a contract, you keep it. That's not much more difficult than that. So hopefully they get what's coming to them, and so do the people that aren't paying them, and they get what's coming to them. So, moving on. I know I talked recently about Konami, going back into games and stuff like that, and they were supposed to be at E3, which is, digital E3. Unfortunately, they're having to back out. It says, according to this, Konami tweeted, "Due to timing, we will not be ready to present at E3 this year. We want to reassure our fans that we are in deep development on a number of key projects, so please stay tuned for some updated in the coming month." Please stay tuned for some updated in the coming months. Well, at least their grammar is terrible, even online. I actually did read that exactly as I thought I did. I shouldn't second guess myself, except for when I should. So, yeah, it's a bummer. I was really kind of hoping we could see some really cool stuff from Konami. I'm sure they'll release it in their good time, but E3 going digital was kind of, quote unquote, last minute. They're working a lot behind the scenes, of course, but a lot of companies with E3, they spend like half a year for whatever it is they're going to show at E3, the booths and stuff like that. And yes, the digital thing is a little different. But even getting a demo reel of things to play and cobbling that together with what they have done of the game, it takes a lot of resources to do that stuff. So, not too surprised. It's a bummer, but, not too surprised. This came out just before I went on live here, and it's a rumor, so take it again with a grain of salt. But Microsoft is talking about taking. Currently, they're like Steam and Apple. They take 30% of the revenue. So when you buy a game, 30% of it goes to Microsoft. But they're talking about taking that down by 18%. So it'd be a 70-30 split, 70 going to the publisher, 30 to Microsoft, to an 88-12, which 88% of the funds would go to the developer the developer, publisher, whoever, and 12% would be to Microsoft on the Xbox store. it's rumor. Again, this is not confirmed. In fact, they actually, Microsoft spokesman told The Verge that we have no plans to change the revenue share for console games at this time. And The Verge notes that could mean that the plans have fallen through, have changed, or Microsoft isn't ready to announce or commit to them yet. Which I have a feeling it's more that latter one, because the other part of this is that they would do the 18-12 split for PC revenue share, and quote, for all games in exchange for streaming rights to Microsoft. And what that would mean, streaming, they mean streaming as in the Xbox cloud gaming thing that comes with Pass, so that you could play games on your phone with or a tablet or whatever. Just stream it directly to a screen instead of actually having to have an Xbox right there for you. So that would be, I'm wondering if they're going to do like, hey, if you let us stream this game, then you get the 88-12, you'll get the 88% instead of the 70% thing. And that's got to be pretty enticing for a lot of companies. Maybe not everybody, but quite a few. I've seen a lot of people are like, well, this is Xbox, not your friend. They're just in it for the money, so this doesn't save it for, it's okay, I got it, yeah. None of these companies are our friend. They're all out to make money. However, there's crony capitalism, and then there's good capitalism. Good capitalism means you bring a product and service, and you bring the best you can, and make the better it is, the more profit you'll make. You can actually take less overall profit because you're selling so many, and fine. And then there's things like what Sony's doing, which is like needlessly raising the price of games to $70. And then a lot of people, I was reading the comments in the forum, which is always a good quick way to lose your mind, but people were saying that this is Microsoft just being greedy and they're hurting the game industry, and at the same time defending Sony, who also, for no other reasons than wanting more money, upped all their games by $10. Yeah, and Microsoft doing this, it's not a benevolent move. Does it benefit the developers? Absolutely, but it's not benevolent. What it is to, and this is my guess, they're bringing themselves in line with Epic Games, because that's what Epic Games charges, is 12%. And they're making companies like Steam and Apple and Sony look like shit. It's basically they're manipulating the market. Yes. And that does benefit a lot of people, including Microsoft in the long run, but it will harm the competition, which, when you're in competition in a field, you're supposed to kind of try to do. You try to hurt the competition. That's why PlayStation kicked Xbox's ass last generation, and the one on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, Xbox kicked PlayStation's ass. They were losing in each of those, and they reshuffled, and now, like, this generation, it's going to be close. I think Sony and Microsoft are going to be a lot more neck and neck. I know Sony's like selling a lot of consoles right now, but so is Xbox. And Microsoft, the things they're doing with things like this, things like Game Pass. Recently, they announced over a dozen games on the Series X that they're upscaling to 120 frames a second in playable modes, and like games like Destiny and things like that. Not little, shitty games that can't do that kind of stuff, but legit, graphically challenging games, or at least they were in the last gen. So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do, but it's a rumor. I have a feeling that it's probably a rumor that will end up coming, but with caveats, and maybe not clear cut and dry. And also, it means absolutely nothing for me or you, unless, of course, that the game stream xCloud thing kicks into it. But we'll see. So in other news, in something stupid that, as far as I can tell, the majority of people are just like, shut up, just fucking stop. But I saw this. I saw the article once, and I ignored it. And I saw it on another site, and another, and it popped up in my feed. So I was like, fucking hell. So, Overwatch, apparently Mei, MMA Mei, is, to put them up, MMA Mei is stepping into the ring. Secure the legendary Mei skin today, just in time for OWL 2021. Mei Melee. I think that stands for the Overwatch League 2021. And it's a tie-in with like MMA and things like that. So it's, the Mei, she's the kind of chunky little Chinese girl with it shoots ice things, and she's adorable and all that. But she's in little MMA fight, robe. She's got the boxing gloves. And before I read the article, I was staring at the picture, and I'm like, okay, because it just said, like, what was it? New Overwatch Mei skin raises cultural appropriation concerns. No, it doesn't. It does to people writing articles because they're looking for something to, like, rile people up about. But it's very clear by the comments underneath these things, most people are just telling them to shut up. So why is it cultural appropriation? Well, Mei, for one, is fictional and does not actually exist. I don't know if gaming articles understand that she's a pixelated character filled of, triangles and bump maps and things like that. But she also has... Okay, I'm sorry. Trigger warning, because for those that are offended by cultural appropriation, which are also a lot of times the same people that say diversity is a good thing and that we should be a more diverse people until somebody is diverse, and then that's not that diversity. We meant other diversity, not of looks and culture, but of everyone thinking and acting exactly the same diversity. Okay, so now that you're properly warned. Sorry, I'm stealing myself. Okay, Mei, on her hair, has cornrows. I know. It's okay. I know. Calm down. It's all right. We'll breathe. We'll get through this together. Now, some would say, well, that's not a big deal. A lot of people have done the cornrow thing, and some would also say that someone took to Twitter, which is where coherent thought goes to die. Listen to the black people complaining that you gave her a hairstyle. Okay, so one, that wasn't the quote I thought it was. But I don't know that actual... I looked, I tried to, sometimes you can tell by a picture. It's a black guy or a black chick. Most of them seemed like a bunch of dumbass white people that were, offended on behalf of other people. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you don't have to be offended for somebody that's not offended. You can calm down a little bit now. Susie. I don't know, I couldn't think of a name that was really insulting. Karen, I guess, but Karen's so overused now, so we're gonna go with Susie. But look, it's cornrows, and if the first thing you looked at with that picture was like, oh my god, she has cornrows, that is black appropriation. First off, it's a hairstyle. I would say the afro cut, maybe that one would probably be one, because you have to have a specific type of hair to be able to pull that look off. Like me, this right here, this whitey white boy hair that does have a slight curl to it. I'm not getting a fro. I'm just going to look like I've been electrocuted, or like Marv from Home Alone when he got electrocuted. Pink Panther when he was put in the dryer and came out fluffy, that kind of thing. I'm not going to have an afro haircut because my hair does not support it. Now, other people too might point out, racist people would point this out, that female MMA fighters with hair braid them very tightly to their scalp so that it doesn't get loose and get in the way or in their face and things like that. In fact, the character that this model of Mei was based off of is a very scary-looking Chinese lady who I would not want to go up against. She has more muscle in her pinky than I have in my entire body. She has the cornrow kind of hair. thing. I mean, it's not straight back, but it's to the side. It's stylized, but it is braided tight into her scalp. She wears the same red, which is what Mei is wearing. And I'll avoid the communist joke on that one. But, and even the picture that I looked up, I shared it with Ericus, showed her fighting, her name is Zhang, fighting another chick who you might have seen recently. She was the one that got her face punched in so hard she like swelled up and she looked like an alien. She looked like what's the character from American Dad, the alien? That guy. She looked like that. She had been punched so hard. But her hair was also braided tightly to her scalp, which is a thing, again, people do. And, you know, this... It's just... Yeah, and they even brought it up. Like, one person in particular even shared a picture of her with that. It's like, yeah, that's because that's a thing, and that's what it was based off of. So it says here, still, there are some members in the community who don't agree with the cultural appropriation criticism. From what I've seen, 99% of those some members of the community, who is often seen sporting braids in various styles in the ring as a real-life example of someone of Asian descent wearing cornrows to refute the complaint. And I'm reading from the article here from GameSpot, who's usually better than this. But again, a lot of them were all picking this crap up because it's slow news week, so why not? And since it's a slow news week, I'm going to take it too. This hand-waving ignores the appropriation happening here. The choice to give Mei a black worn hairstyle is odd, especially given the relative disproportionate representation of black characters, particularly female ones. The game's first black female character, Sojourn, who is awesome, has been announced, or is awesome looking from what I've seen, but won't debut until Overwatch 2 drops. Okay, that doesn't necessarily... For one, it's a skin. They're just wanting money for it. By the way, it's not even a skin. If I was playing Overwatch, I would not care about this skin. It's not... I don't care about MMA that much at all, or boxing and that kind of stuff. And I love this. To add insult to injury that nobody was actually injured during, and there was no actual insult, Blizzard said the skin was inspired by the intensity and distinctive fashion of mixed martial artists. Yeah, because they literally just based it off of an actual mixed martial artist who is also Chinese. And I bet you if she finds out about this, if she hasn't already, she'd probably be like most and be like, that's fucking cool. They based a skin off of me? I mean, I would, if they ever put a dumpy white guy skin in Overwatch, I think his name is Roadhog. I mean, I'm already flattered that they put me in the game. I'm honored, honestly. I mean, they got my belly button a little off. I have an itty, not an outie. But you know what? I'm gonna take it. I'll wear a pig mask if that's what helps. I'm perfectly good with that. So what this boils down to is that it was a slow news week. People aren't actually offended by this, but they want to pretend that people are. So they wrote articles of it, and once one person does it, it starts to pick up, and others will go after it. And I mean, the people that were offended seemed largely to be only on Twitter. I saw this pop up on a Facebook feed, read through it. I don't think I saw anybody actually agree with the article. I saw it on, I think it was PC Gamer in their comment section. Again, nobody was offended by it. They were all telling people to piss off. So that's that. In another rant, Chads in video games. Now, this doesn't come from an article. This is just something that happened. 2 instances, actually. And either one of these, to me, I would not have probably really noticed. I ignore... I obviously, I like to joke around. I can take a good joke. But there was one place that said, there's real men only have toolboxes and fishing boxes, not Xboxes. Really? Real men? Okay. I get it. It's a joke. We're supposed to do fishing and I mean, I actually have all 3 of those. So technically, that makes me a Superman. Not this kind of a Superman, but, like a man that is also super. Like a superish man. So since I have all three and am the pinnacle of manliness because of this, which, by the way, the joke went over very well on Facebook, and people actually thought it was funny. So good for me, yay! And then there was another one where I told the guy who was, what was he doing? He said something fucking stupid. Oh, not to get into real world politics because I don't agree with it either. But it came out this week that apparently the United States Postal Service had its postal inspectors scanning people's comments and things like that, and then looking for people that were conducting wrongthink and turning it over to the authorities, which is not the point of the United States Postal Service. We probably should focus on the rampant porch pirates theft and mail theft that is going on right now. Also, the fact that Amazon is boning us dry with like a 12-foot steel rod in the way they pay us for our parcels, or their parcels, meanwhile actually becoming our biggest competition. That's what they should focus on. And somebody in there was another postal employee said, look, there's over 150,000 postal employees. Nobody here obviously knew what this was about. This was going on, and some guy he said is like, well, that's just what the Nazis said right before they, when the Jews were being taken away. Stop it with the Nazis, for one. We get it. They're bad. But not everything is Nazi Germany. The people that do this at the post office, I disagree with them wholeheartedly. They have absolutely nothing to do with me or my job or anything here in Oklahoma, is probably as far as I would know. So I called him a moron, as one is apt to do when they are being moronic. And he did the typical thing like, well, you're just a middle-aged gamer, so your opinion means less than nothing to me. Good day, sir. And I'm like, well, you cared enough to click on my profile, read through it, and find out that I have on there that I enjoy video games, TV, comic books, blah, blah, blah. So clearly, you do care enough about what I think to have been able to try to find a way to insult me. And for that, I returned the favor by just clicking on his profile picture, which was basically him looking like I don't know if you guys have ever seen Jamie Kennedy when he was like the white guy that was in The Hood back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So this dude's in a tracksuit, like squatting down in front of his fireplace like he's about to release a mixtape album with his thinning hair. So, I may have said, good, that's fine. Good luck with your, mixtape album, you rap album wannabe, and your thinning hairline. I thought that was fair. But these two things combined, between the moron that was bringing up the Nazis and the joke on the joke site, which is also, I get it. It's funny. It made me realize I was thinking on this because, like I said, either one of these separately, I would have totally brushed it off, but I forget which one happened first, then I saw the other one, and I was thinking that it seems like, because of all the people I interact with, we're all gamers. We know video games. We love them. We're adults. We buy them. I have a buddy, or not a buddy at work, but a guy at work, Joe, who has an Xbox Series X, and I hated him until I got mine. Now we're on speaking terms again. But a lot of adults play video games these days, and I forget things like the fact that the gaming industry is actually makes more than that of the movie and television industry combined. Gaming is a bigger market share. So I forget that there's still people that haven't moved on from 1995, where video games are something only nerds do. Like, between your video games and your Super Mario Brothers and playing your Dungeons and Dragons, you're not a man. You're just stupid. Or I guess I should actually say, because that's what the nerd's supposed to sound like, you're just not a man, bro. I mean, all you do is you just play video games all day and sit there and, I'm going out like doing stuff. I'm watching sports, like a real man does. And okay, so here's the deal. I don't care what you do with your spare time. You watch sports. I don't like it. I think sports are kind of boring, especially to watch. Now, playing them, that's fun. But you don't get credit for watching sports and being manly or womanly, because there's my grandma loved fucking football and baseball. It's not really supposedly a gender thing, although it is, again, it's another thing probably. A lot of women like that kind of stuff. It's kind of one of those things. It's just not the way it used to be. It's not 1995. So why are you... Nobody, just because you like sports, I'm not going to be like, you spent $3,000 to watch the Super Bowl in person. You're a fucking idiot. No, first, congratulations, you've got a lot of money to spend on something that I would not. Second, good for you. Cool. All right. If that's what you dig, go for it. But then why are you bashing on somebody else's hobby? Now, I will make fun. I do make fun of people's hobbies all the time. Civil War reenactors. Those people need some help. They are not right in the head. But I still like them. They're good people, except for, of course, those fucking Confederates. You know how they are. You know who I'm talking about. But, no, it's people's hobbies are people's hobbies. As long as they're not hurting anybody. But this mentality towards video games, I forget that it still persists because I typically don't have those people in my world. There's like one guy at work that is kind of like that, although he is at least far more jokey about it, but it's one of those serious jokies about it. But he also can't say much because he's married to a total nerd too, and she drags him to that stuff. So, that's our revenge. We're everywhere. But no, it's just one of those things that I was thinking on it. It didn't annoy me as so much as it was oh yeah, that's a thing people still think about, and a weird way of looking at other people's hobbies. And thinking that this guy, for example, thinking he was insulting me by saying that I'm not, that because I game, that my opinion or knowledge is therefore, what's the word I'm looking for? Not good. I just did a George W. Bush. What he's saying here is that the way you think is it's not good. I totally just blanked on the word. But so it's just such a strange mentality to still have 25 years. I mean, these are the same people, and I think I've made this point before. People, when we back in the early 2000s, when I'd tell people I was talking to somebody on AOL or in EverQuest back in the day, they would look at me like I had a foreign body sprouting out of my neck, and that foreign body was like a Buick hubcap. Nowadays, fucking everybody's online. Everybody's got their iPhones and their smartphones and things like that, and you're welcome, because that happened because of nerds like me adopting that stuff early on, and it evolved into the point where it became mainstream. So when I meet somebody that's like, you're dumb, well, he's probably doing that on his smartphone. I know he took that rap album picture. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. So people are dumb. It's not 1995. Grow up a little bit and don't dismiss people just because you don't understand their hobby. I dismiss furries because they're weird and uncomfortable to be around. But I'm not dissing on their hobby. Some of those masks are really good. They're a little too good. They're really animatronic. You should probably build an R2-D2 because that's what I want. Build a life-size R2-D2 for me, and then you can make your furry mouth move. That's fine. Or scaly. I don't judge. Or okay, I do judge on one. There's one where it's like anatomically correct airplanes. That one was a little weird, I will admit. I don't know that I've ever been attracted to an inanimate object that... Well, no, there was RC from the Transformers movie. So, yeah, okay, no. I take it all back. You guys are fine. Carry on. So, for the new segment, I don't have a sounder. This month in gaming history is all I got. That's the best I can do for you. So, let's go back into the Wayback Machine into 2016 of this month, when everybody knows Overwatch actually first released. Overwatch 2 is still around the corner, probably either at the very end of this year or probably early next year, is my guess. Some people have probably heard of it. It's a fairly popular game. Now, another one that other people probably don't remember, and I didn't realize it came out first. I had forgotten about this because it's not around anymore, because it was dumb. Overwatch just did everything it fucking did better. And I'm pretty sure Battleborn, which came out a couple weeks before, was what it was because Overwatch was in development for some time, and the trailers came out, and whoever did Battleborn was like, oh, we can do that, but faster. So they had about a week or two at the most. I didn't put the actual date. I was just going for the month. And Battleborn came out. I tried it. I think it was free to play, or it was a demo. I can't remember now. It's been 5 years. What year is this? 5 years. And then Overwatch 2 came out, and Battleborn with its giant mushroom hat guy disappeared off the face of the fucking earth. I think it was closed down within a year after that. And rip. It is now gone the way of E.T. and other games that aren't around now. Star Wars Galaxies. Also, in 2015, there was two good ones in 2015 of May. One is a little game called Witcher 3. Some of you might have heard of that one. I kind of amazed that game came out 6 years ago, because it's still I've seen videos of it even today, and it runs even better now, obviously on better technology. It looks amazing. It does not look like a 6-year-old game at all. It is fantastic. And the ironic part is around this time, too, is when they announced Cyberpunk 2077, also 6 years ago or more. And, well, that didn't turn out well, did it? Could have gone better. Also in 2015, another big one that kind of came out of nowhere, and it was a critical success enough to get, a sequel, 2 sequels now, I think, with Legion. Watch Dogs came out 6 years ago. That was a good one. I don't think I finished it. I got bored of the open world. I mean, I liked the cell phone hacking thing, but the gimmick eventually wore thin with me, which is why I never bothered with Legion, or even the second one. They're good games, but open world stuff really has to bring something new, and the hacking things while you were driving, like to make the pylons pop out of the ground and stop the car that was pursuing you, was very clunky, because you're already you're trying to pay attention to the road and not like veer off and kill 1,000 people.
This can only end in tears.
Yeah, but then you were trying to see like, oh, there's a stoplight up ahead, or the pylon thing to pop out of the ground, and then you had like a very brief time to hack into it and make it pop up, and did not work well. 2012, jumping a couple years here, was the last time we got a Max Payne. Actually, it's 9 years now. Max Payne 3 came out all the way back in 2012, and this, like, growing up in 2000s, up to 2012. Max Payne was like a series, it was just an ongoing series staple for the consoles and things like that. It was the one that first introduced, if I remember right, it really was the first one that did the bullet time from the Matrix. It copied that slow motion bullet time thing, right, and did it well in the very first Max Payne. And we've not had one since. There's still rumors that a Max Payne 4 is coming out. Who knows if and when that will happen. It seems weird to let that die. I mean, given the Matt Damon Max Payne movie was not Max Payne at all. It was badass stupid. And I don't mean badass in like it was really cool. It was badass. I mean, it was just a badass. Like Rosie O'Donnell's back end after Taco Bell for a week straight. Like that kind of badass. So yeah, it was so bad. It was such a bad movie. 2010, 11 years ago now, Red Dead Redemption 1. That was, man, I remember still playing that. That also feels like it was last week. So Red Dead Redemption 1 came out 11 years ago now. The sequel was fantastic, but the first one was, I mean, I'm not a Cowboys kind of a guy. I watch a few movies now and again. Some of the, I would say classics, more modern classics. The Tombstone kind of, that kind of thing. I don't watch like the old John Wayne. I'm never a fan of the Duke, as I called him when we knew each other back in the day. I mean, I loved his movies, and we were good friends. Or I loved him, and we were good friends. But I never watched his movies. He understood. It was just a thing. And now going all the way back to the PC era, 1992 this month. Wolfenstein 3D. The 3D was important because it was not lots of stuff in 3D at that time. I don't even know if Doom was out. Let's see here. Doom release date. Let's see the first one. I can't remember when the first Doom came out. No, 1993. Yeah, I thought that's how that worked. Wolfenstein came out before Doom by about 6 months. Because what is it, May? Yeah, so about a good 6-7 months. So that's crazy. I forget Wolfenstein was before Doom. Wolfenstein was good, but Doom did it better, obviously. But Wolfenstein's still fucking around. They're both id or ID. I never know how to pronounce the studio that makes them. They're both being produced by id now, and now under Bethesda, which is now under Microsoft. Boy, that's a weird journey. So yeah, Wolfenstein, groundbreaking back in the day. You know, that was back when you play. That was before WASD keys for controlling games. Let's see. Start. Who started WASD? Let's do that one. So yeah, but at that time you just used the arrow keys that are over there, and so you had to like scoot your keyboard over here so that you could have more comfortably. Otherwise, you're like a little T-Rex kind of thing with your keyboard on your left hand and your mouse with your right. They were right next to each other. It was not good. So, let's see here. It says, Dan Weiss Larson from the Quake Team Deathmatch clan Capital with a K popularized ESDF versus WASDF and explained to gamers, what's ESDF? Oh, yeah, I've seen people do that. So yeah, all the way back in the Quake times is when the WASD, so this was years. Let's see. It says Dennis Thresh Fong, trailblazing history at Pro Gamer. He was a pro gamer, basically. That doesn't surprise me at all that they'd be the ones that like probably key mapped that to WASD, and it's just standard. So yeah, all the way back, 1992, Wolfenstein. Way to go, Wolfie! You really got it there. You do you, buddy. So I guess I'll quit rambling here. That's an hour's worth of show. Like I said, man, there was not a lot this week, so hopefully the show was worth it. If it wasn't, inconceivable. I know, I couldn't believe it either. But yeah, if not, I've got plenty of other. If gaming news and movie news keeps being as kind of dead as it has been, I've got plenty of other things to keep the show going. Plenty more rants. Probably listen to some Husky music because, frankly, this right here. He's got some stuff that's recently that's just fantastic. I'd actually love to do an episode of hearing and talking about Husky stuff. Even if it's just a couple tracks, I don't want to do like an hour-long worth of like jam session. So with that, thanks for listening. Remember, iTunes, give us a like, 5-star review. Twitch.tv/CrashWhaleLoading. Subscribe, follow, whatever one it is there that lets you know when I go live. You can do it on YouTube if you would prefer YouTube. I know not everybody likes Twitch because It's annoying at times, but then again, YouTube isn't much better. Although I do have a lot of traffic on YouTube. Yeah, and so click the About button there and join the Discord server. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you next week. I'm Ashton Phoenix, and I'm out. My dog's staring at me right now. Do you know when the show is over, so you just come and pester me before I do the husky outro? Is that what you're doing? Or is it because it's like an hour from when you're supposed to eat and you're just impatient? Yeah, I know I'm still recording. I'm just talking to my dog. This is a private conversation between me and Cloud here. This is, by the way, this here. Let's see if I can see it. That's there we. Cloud, where are you at? Right there, she is. There's her blackhead. She's black lab golden retriever mix. Now look at that, you're internet famous. Good for you. Anyway, music as always is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/Husky by the Geek to hear all his latest video game rock covers and original music.